25 News starts now with breaking news.
We begin at noon with breaking news. It's been 4 years since a Fulton County mother was accused of killing her baby girl. But today, a plea deal reveals Jocelyn Graham could be out of custody in just months. Sam Matheny joins us with more details on the deal.
That's right, Camilla. Jocelyn Graham of Canton took a plea deal in November of 2021 for the death of her 5-month-old Emery Lyons. The terms of that deal were shared yesterday, November of 2025. The terms of those the deal was shared yesterday in Fulton County Court. Now, in exchange for her pleading guilty to involuntary manslaughter, the 2 first-degree murder charges were dropped. Graham was arrested by Canton police on October 9th of 2021 after her baby was found dead. An autopsy confirmed she died of a blunt force trauma to the head. At the time, prosecutors said a search of the young mother's phone revealed multiple web searches for how to, quote, get rid of your baby in the weeks before the infant's death. Now, with this guilty plea, Graham is sentenced to 9 years in the Illinois Department of Corrections and must serve at least 50% plus legal fees. However, the judge gave Graham credit for the more than 4 years she served in custody. Now, 4.5 years is nearly half of her 9-year sentence, which means if the Department of Corrections determines she serves half of her sentence, Graham could be released as soon as April. A review is scheduled for December 18th. Camilla?